everybody. My name is Scott Kennelly and I'm the Director of Financial and Postal Services here at the Consumer Council. And today we're going to be talking to you about debt and the challenges that people face during the current cost of living crisis. So I'm very pleased to be joined today by Advice NI and Christians Against Poverty, because that's one of those topics that nobody likes to talk about, especially in Northern Ireland, where we know from our research that consumers here have lower levels of confidence when dealing with their finances, and that we also have higher levels of personal debt. Now, the Consumer Council does have a range of tools on our website to help people budget and switch and save with things like energy. However, with the current cost of living crisis, with costs soaring as much as they are, there's only so much that you can do if your income's not increasing as well. And then people may need help, specialist help, when dealing with their debts. And that's why we have Paul from Christians Against Poverty and Sinead from Advice NI. So Paul, if I can come to you first, if you could tell us a bit about your services and what people can expect.
Yeah, so Christians Against Poverty, we run a free independent debt advice service. We cover right across Northern Ireland. And our service, I suppose, is a holistic service in that anyone who rings us will be assigned to a local debt coach who will visit them in their home if they're comfortable to do that, and really bring them with expert help from our head office in Bradford. We'll bring them through the whole process out of debt. So, right, whether that's a debt repayment plan or insolvency, we'll stay with the client right throughout, providing practical support and emotional support right through that whole process, just staying with them until they're free of debt.
Super. And Sinead, under the current crisis that we're experiencing, what are the kinds of issues that you've been seeing at Advice NI, and how does your service help people?
I suppose throughout the whole of COVID, people were ringing the helpline and they were asking about, what can they do, because there was so much uncertainty out there. Now that has sort of levelled out and people are coming to us who are looking to go into a solution, very similar to what Paul is saying. People are now looking to see, how can I deal with the debt? Either COVID has pushed them over, or as you rightly said before, the cost of living. People just cannot make ends meet now. So we can go through the range of solutions, which would be, looking at bankruptcy, a debt relief order, going into a repayment plan, maybe looking at full and final settlements for people. There's a raft of stuff out there that we can go through. The first thing we do is look at budgets. And budgets are so important. As you said, there's many tools out there on all the websites. And people should do a budget to see what they have coming in and what they have going out. And that will then look to see, well, what money's left over to service any debt, what plans could you go into, or what are your options. And that's what Advice NI and our advisors and members will do. They'll look at that and they will give people options. They will give people back the confidence and control to look at their finances. And it's really important not to worry about the stigma, as you said, around debt, because it is in Northern Ireland, there's still a lot of stigma around debt, and it shouldn't be. Everybody has it, whatever reason, there's no judgment to it. You just come in and you get help, and the advisor in front of you will sit down and go through it all with you.
Okay, so I'm right in saying that for both of your services, the service is free, it's confidential, and listening to what you've both described there, there's an advisor, there's a specialist advisor that acts on your behalf, that talks to you about the situation, gets an understanding of the money you've got coming in, the money you've got going out, and helps you regain control and deal with those problem debts. So when that process starts happening, Sinead, if I could ask you, what do you see as being the key benefits to people that start using your service?
The key benefits coming in to our service is you're coming in and you get professional help. The advisors are all trained. They've heard every story before. Nothing is new to them. Do you know what I mean? They will go through it step by step with you. They will give you back control and give you that confidence to actually see a light at the end of the tunnel, to see, here are my solutions. This is what I can do to either become debt-free or manage your money better. And that's what this service, or all debt services, that's the core of it. We want to help people. We're here. We're free, we're confidential, and we take the stress and anxiety out of having to deal with money, because money's one of those things where you can get so blinded with it, and no matter how confident or intelligent you are in other aspects of your life, sometimes people just get blinded with debt, and our advisors know exactly what they need to do to help you through it.
Super. And I know, Paul, that people that are experiencing really extreme financial difficulty, and also for people that are just worrying about one or two debts, there can be a real mental health burden. It can be something that really impacts on your mental well-being. Is that something that you see at Christians Against Poverty as well?
Very much so, yeah. Unfortunately, people withdraw, they isolate themselves from friends and family, they won't open the door, they don't go out from week to week, and so they really cut themselves off. So there's a real sense of isolation. Then obviously, if you're isolated and you're thinking about that, about the debt or about your situation, it can really bear down on people, really weigh on them. We hear so many clients that when they open the door for the first time to our debt coach, the coach will talk about the client's shoulders just lift. There's just that sense of relief. They're literally in some cases handing over bags of mail and post and reminder letters, and as well as handing over that physical burden, that you can see the burden lift off them as they realise there's someone there to help them. I don't have to deal with this alone. One of the big things that Sinead's already referenced, both our organisations, the advisor, we get involved and we'll deal with the creditors. We'll negotiate with the creditors, make arrangements with the creditors. So a client's able to say, I'm now working with Advice NI, Christians Against Poverty, speak to them. And that's such a relief for so many people, that there's just someone there to share the burden with.
That's great. That's excellent to hear, I think, in terms of knowing that there's somebody in your corner, somebody that will take hold of this problem for you. They won't take over the problem, they'll still work with you, but very much acting on your behalf, helping you, supporting you, get back into control. And it is that idea of getting back into control, feeling that you've got hold of this problem and that you're able to do something with it. So it's great to hear about the service, and it's great to know that it's free, that it's confidential, and that there is somebody there that's an expert, that's been well trained, that can help you build a solution that suits you. So with all of that in mind, what would be, if there's anybody watching this today that sat at home thinking, I'm really struggling, I feel I need help, what would be your number one piece of advice to them today, Sinead?
Get in touch. Reach out and get in touch, and do not be embarrassed at all. I mean, the advisors have heard it all before. Just reach out to whatever organisation you're comfortable with, but I would say just reach out to somebody.
And Paul, would you add to that?
I can't add to that. I mean, it really is about getting help now. There's no judgment. There's just someone there who wants to help and bring you through the process. So yeah, get help now. Whether you're just on the brink of because there are people who are maybe just about managing, to use that phrase, but it may be with a little bit of help that they manage better. Or if you're really struggling, then don't struggle on your own. Get help now.
So you don't have to necessarily wait until you've tipped over the edge. You can get in touch now and get some advice and support.
I think that's important, because there will be a group of people, and certainly we see that had a budget that was pretty finely balanced, and then with big increases in fuel prices and food prices, that could be just enough to tip them over the edge. So if those people get help now, get a bit more equipped and better equipped to manage better now, then that avoids them getting into the full-scale debt problem. So yeah, at whatever stage you feel you're at, whether you just need a bit of confidence building or full-blown debt help, get in touch with or use resources on the websites that you've mentioned.
Okay, so Sinead from Advice NI, Paul from Christians Against Poverty, thank you ever so much for your time today. Some really important messages there, folks. I think the number one takeaway from today is, if you feel you're struggling financially, get help now, act now. The contact information for both of these organisations, like I said, that provide free, confidential, professional debt advice services, it's available on the Consumer Council website, and the contact information for Advice NI and Christians Against Poverty are also in the comments section below. So thank you for joining us today. and thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.